Hey, this is Angel, the paranormal mystic, and I wanted to talk today about having a Leo North Node with an Aquarius Sun. It's a dilemma. Before I get started, I will ask you guys to like, comment, and sub if you like what you hear today because it's something we have to say. People just don't if we don't ask. Now, I kind of hate having some of the stuff in my chart. I know it's something I am meant to do. I shouldn't be hating anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm not always as mature as I should be. So, having a Leo North Node with an Aquarius Sun, if any of you out there have that, I'm sure you can relate that when you start to learn astrology, you go, what the fudge? This is not cool because that means that your South Node is also your sun. It gives you this sense of failure. Like when you ever hear people, astrologers anyway, and some of the things that astrologers have clung to for years, I don't even agree with, but it's kind of like religion where once they interpret like a Bible verse a certain way, everyone does it. It's kind of like with rising signs are like, oh, that's just how you look. That's surface level. And I'm like, bullshit. I'm sorry, but I really believe your rising sign is more like your underbelly. It's actually what people don't see as much. It's almost more like that dark side of you that until you get in touch with it, your sun sign is never going to make sense. I feel like there's many seasons of our life where our rising sign we can relate to it a whole lot more than our sun sign. It's more accurate. It's a 2 hour window versus a whole month. Okay. I actually feel like your sun sign is like the brand and the rising sign is like the model. Okay. There's tons of Aquariuses out there. It's just like there's tons of Chevys out there. Some are junk, some are amazing. You know, I always will love my Camaro, my 96 3800 V6 silver Camaro I got back in, the 90s. And it was not a V8 like all the guys wanted. My dad didn't want me to have guys borrow my car and wreck it. Had great gas mileage for a sports car, but it still was great off of, a red light and that nice Delco Bose stereo system that sounded really good when you played Fuck You Like an Animal by Nine Inch Nails just to see what people do. That was the kind of 90s brat that I was. And I love that car. But you look at some of these other, Chevy cars and they're pretty bad, okay? There's a lot of really bad models of Aquariuses out there and there are some that are really badass. So I feel like your rising sign is really important. And mine is Scorpio with um, Pluto in the 12th house, which I need to do a video on that because that is extremely painful. It is one of the hardest placements one can ask for is typically one for shamans and like the wounded healers, okay? And I have heard people like the Leo King say like Scorpio Aquarius mixes are like freaks. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. So anyway, I would say this whole Leo North node, it's it's complicated. Okay. Um, we are supposed to have a south node for something that astrologers say claim that is something that we should have conquered, something that we've overcome. So if our south node is also our sun sign, it makes us feel like we failed in a past life, like there's something missing, like we messed up, we didn't learn our lesson in the last life or something, right? Now if you go and listen to my past lives video, you would see that I do go into detail about my past lives. I remember them quite well. It's something that can be pretty natural when you have Pluto in the 12th house in Libra. You can have a lot of dreams and put a lot of pieces together. Um, I have had a problem in most of my past lives with the dilemma of being true to myself and like sacrificing for those that I love. It seems like every past life I had, it wasn't organizations like they say Aquarius South Node is. It was more like one, two, three people that always wanted something different for me than what my life path, what I felt I was supposed to do. And they were always pushing me to go against what I felt I needed to do. Like in my last life, I was trying to find my biological family, and, I had a bunch of like basically horny bastards who just kept wanting to be in a relationship with them. And I literally just ended one with one of those guys, and he left my body pretty mangled in this life. And it's weird because, go to the one before that. And I wanted to just be an independent career woman. And I had an older male partner, a business partner, not a relationship partner, who kept pushing me to, women shouldn't work. You should get married. You should settle down. And we could go on and on and on. Every past life, it seemed like I had mostly men trying to control the decisions in my life. And it's really weird because in this life, it's been hard, and it has a lot to do with relationships, of course, with the Libra Pluto thing. And I have a Libra stellium too. So, and they say in this life, we're supposed to learn how to be leaders and how to go against the crowd and how to stand on your own 2 feet if you have a Leo North Node. I have an Aquarius stellium, I have an Aquarius sun, Mercury, and Mars. And Aquariuses are supposed to be humanitarians. So it's like every single part of me wants to save the world. There's no part of me that hasn't always wanted to help the world be better than when I came in it. I don't know how not to feel that way. I mean, when I was little, all I wanted was the perfect husband, a bunch of kids, and to rescue animals. That was it. Like that was my goal. I was pretty simple. I wanted to have a true love, a bunch of kids, and a bunch of animals. And obviously that didn't pan out very well. I have 2 kids. I have lots of animals. But I've never met one guy in my life that couldn't end up abusing me in some form of way that was to the point where I couldn't stay in the relationship eventually, from either being physically, mentally, emotionally broken. And the odd thing about that is, they say we're supposed to learn how to be on our own 2 feet, how to be independent. And it's like, I kind of look at my decisions, and Leo, I always thought Aquariuses were really loyal. And there's a lot of things about Aquariuses I question now that I've dealt with some bad Aquariuses, and I've seen what a lot of other people think about Aquariuses and what I've seen written, that a lot of times I had just read about like Aquarius uh, is so intellectual that they aren't going to try anything new. They kind of observe, they step back and watch other people and see if they succeed first. And they kind of like will try it after they know it's okay. And I was like, huh. I mean, I guess I do that sometimes because I ain't stupid. It's not like I'm going to jump and do something I think is dumb, right? And but I look at that, and it's like Leo's lead, and some people say Aquariuses follow, and I thought that was really odd because I always thought Aquariuses were trailblazers and leaders. And you know um you see a lot of other people that will say Aquariuses, like, they don't follow the herd, like they kind of go to their own beat, which is true. I don't really know how to like stay in tune or like be like other people to save my life. Like, I've never fit in, but that is definitely a Leo North Node thing too. So um, I mean, I couldn't fit in if I wanted to. I can kind of fit in if I stay really quiet for a certain period of time, but usually I get fed up, right? And what's weird is that I had read Leo North Nodes also have the tendency to really, really think they're looking for their group, right? And they think they found it. And then all of a sudden, it's like the honeymoon phase is over. And then they see all the things wrong with that group. They walk away really disappointed. Like, they're constantly looking for that perfect group. And I was like, whoa, that is definitely my whole life. Because here's a thing I think is really hard for a Leo North node. And that is, we are ride or die, like legit ride or die. But when we realize that the other people are not, especially with my like Scorpio ascendant, because they're like what I call cold crush. And I don't mean crushing on someone, loving them. I mean, they will coldly crush your ass and move on when they realize you're not worth it. It's just true. And so I like am so loyal to a fault that I'm blinded, which this is so Leo. blinded by love, loyalty, generosity, big heartedness that I take up for people. I defend them, I protect them. I've always been like, took up and defended the underdogs and loved people like to my own detriment. But when I finally like it clicks, like I don't see any of the red flags in time until it's like really bad, right? Until I'm in my own bloodbath because they have chewed me up and spit me out and chewed me up and spit me out on repeat. And they don't care. They do not. Why the world? I'm talking family, lovers, coworkers, employers. Why they don't value loyalty? I don't know. That's their loss, you know? And it's like when I finally get it through my thick skull that these people only care about themselves and they're willing to hurt me intentionally to get what they want, like I am done. Like I turn so like rabid on them, I will just walk away. And this is something that is very Aquarian. I've heard like Aquarius people talk about this, that if we go silent on you or ghost you or something, it is not because we're immature. It is not because we are avoiding confrontation, which I do hate confrontation. Aquariuses and Libras hate that, and I have both stelliums. I absolutely hate confrontation. I can get really scared, really shaky and panicky because I had extremely controlling parents, and I'm fearful to stand up to authority. I really am. But you tick me off enough, and that Scorpio stinger comes out, and that Leo rage comes out, and the Aquarius rage, and I will put you in your place. And when I do, it's not pretty. And I don't like doing it. I don't like going there. It's something that I feel is ugly. And I want beauty. Okay. My Libra stellium is ruled by Venus. I want beauty in my life. And, you know, Leo's fifth house, that's also beauty. And so I just don't want to fight. I hate it. And usually when I'm done with you, there's no fighting left because I finally chewed you up and spit you out. And usually when I'm done with you, you're in your own bloody mess that you made yourself, because I don't ever hurt anyone intentionally. I don't ever use anybody. I don't ever like manipulate or seek people out for my own selfish gain. I don't know how to do. I've never, my mind cannot compute how people are that evil. I just can't. Okay. And this is hard. It is very, very hard for me. With Leo North Node, we're supposed to learn how to be leaders and bold, and we're supposed to like stand in a crowd and be the loud one. And I've had seasons where I've done that briefly, usually when I'm passionate enough about something. But I also step back a lot and hide a lot because I like literally am just burnt out of how cold and cruel and selfish the world is. It's so fake. It's so like me. It's me first. It's take, you know, or be taken from, kill or be killed. And I just don't want to do that. It's like there's that Aquarian in me still wants to save the world. And it's like weird because I really kind of want to eventually do like a video on agorism and how could agorism be the key to like healing those of us who are neurodivergent, who are mystics, who are outcasts, who are disabled, who have PTSD, who are traumatized, because agorism is like kind of like a political movement that is peaceful, but yet almost anarchist. Like, not quite. It believes in the free market, which capitalism is supposed to be, but we don't have capitalism anymore. Everyone is like complaining about how bad capitalism is, usually mostly from brainwashing from the extreme left. And, you know, if any of you guys want to get mad at what I'm saying here, like that's on you. Because I have done so much soul searching. Like, I have literally spent my life trying to find the right way, the narrow way. I don't, I, like I said, every single group has failed me, both right and left, both Christian and non-Christian, both the new age and, the traditional people. Every single group has failed me because every single one has blind spots and flaws. And I usually walk away sad because I realize that they all have failed. So don't sit here and put me in a box because it ain't going to effing work. And if you guys are Leo North Node Aquas, I'm pretty sure you feel me, okay? Now, the thing is I feel like capitalism is meant to where we should have the small little man should be able to work their way up. Period. That's what capitalism and free market is supposed to be, right? But it's not. You have so many bigwigs, elites, the Babylonian Empire, if you will, which I do believe is a very paranormal spiritual war we have going on. And it's like they do everything they can to make it impossible for the little man to rise up. They really do. This is like in the closet socialism. When you have people that work for Monsanto also working for the EPA, and you have people working for Tyson that work for the DEA and the EPA, and you have like literally the CIA working with drug cartel in Mexico. I mean, this is not capitalism, guys. Okay, there's so many laws and regulations that make it impossible. And even like YouTube and say Poshmark, where you resell things, everything is like pay to play now. And it's like no small guy can work their way up anywhere. Okay. And they've made it impossible. They are truly trying to destroy the middle class. And if you guys think that this makes me kind of a right wing conspiracist or whatever, yeah, no. I tried that because I was raised conservative, but I've never really been able to put up with hypocrisy in that either. I tried, like, libertarianism was close, because they believe, that people have the right to have their own religion, their own sexuality, blah, blah, blah. But it kind of got hijacked by the alt-right, who still have a lot of, depending on what group you're in, maybe some racism or some biases going on, right? So I kind of just don't really fit in one group. And then there's a lot of agorists who are still pretty dang conservative. And then you have some that came from more of the left wing. I forget. There's these two guys that I've heard talking. One is John Bush. He's more on the conservative end. And then you have another guy out of Houston. I forget his name. He's Hispanic, and he came from more of the liberal end, like an activist because of how police and stuff treated him and people that he knew, right? And so I've listened to both sides, and I'm very intrigued by watching people from both sides kind of come out of that two-party coma and try to give us genuine freedom, because right now we live in a state of coercion, and everything is coercion. And that's what agorism is against. I literally believe that that is why I am sick and why so many people are sick. If you listen to stories about chronic illness from trauma, it just, your body will keep saying no until you do what's right. And my body has said no to so many toxic people in my life, but it's also saying no to modern society. Okay. People say, oh, we shouldn't have fight or flight. There's no bears or tigers. And I'm like, yeah, but there's tax collectors, insurance collectors, permit collectors. We have so many things that we have to pay to, like, we got to keep that light bill on. We got to keep our home. We have to keep this going, keep that going. These are all predators. Okay. None of this was made for us to thrive. It was all made so somebody else could get rich off of drinking our blood. This Babylonian empire, it's like when it talks in the Bible about like the whore of Babylon drinking the blood of the saints, that's like basically all of us, okay, are being drunk dry by these evil people who are obsessed with making more and more and more profit. And nowhere in nature, okay, ever since the dawn of existence were we ever meant to pay to play, to pay to have food, water, and shelter. No animal does that. We were never put here to do that. If you go to heaven, you people cross over and have near death experiences or anything. None of them, they all feel so free and they don't ever want to come back. You don't hear any of them go, oh, yeah, we have to work in heaven to pay to have existence. Like, this is a whole scam, okay? The whole monetary system is a scam. And that's kind of why I don't know if I'm totally sold on agorism, because I love like the cryptocurrency and things. And I get it. It's just that I think the monetary system is it's bullshit. It's a charade. It's like it's monopoly money. None of it's real. None of it means shit. It's ridiculous, to be honest. And I guess, the rich are like, well, how can we convince the poor to work for us unless we give them this monopoly money? And then tell them they have to give it right back to us to keep their food and their water and stuff. The whole thing is completely ridiculous to me. And so I have this Aquarian side that wants so bad to like save people. I can't save the world. Obviously, that's not my job. But I feel like if I can this is the tiny little bit of like my dying cause, like a butterfly effect in me thinking if I can just plant one tiny seed in one person's mind somewhere who can be a hero, who can change something, then I did something right. If I can just make a tiny, tiny, tiny difference, like if one person listened to this one video and made a change, and then that person made a change, one day we can evolve to the higher beings we're meant to be. Like, we really need to take our power back. I really believe that. I believe the governments think they own us, and they don't. Okay. Corporations think that they own us, but they don't. We gave our rights away. My parents and their parents and their parents and their parents fudging gave their rights away. And now we're enslaved to it. Okay. We're indentured servants. We are like literally worker bee drones. And this is not what life was ever meant to be for. We're meant to do what our souls called us to do. And it sure as hell not to sit in an effing cubicle. Okay. Now, I do believe that we need to actually actively engage and say, I mean, what if we even like had massive lawsuits against our own governments, like stood up to them and called them out for making us chronically sick because our bodies, look at the like countless people with autoimmune diseases right now. Not only are we being poisoned in our food supply and our water supply, but we're being poisoned by stress because none of us can hardly make it right now. They've literally manufactured all of this inflation and then they're saying, oh, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, effing right. I can't hardly afford to feed my kids anymore. I can't hardly afford crap anymore. This is not okay. It is not okay. It's abuse, and we need to call it out for what it is. It's tyranny, it's abuse, it's harassment, and it's got to end. And I feel like, you look at, okay, our government owns most of the land in the state I live in. I'm a Texicajun. I was made in Texas, yet born in Louisiana, and I still spent more of my life in Texas than Louisiana. So I am not an Arkansan. I know when you hear Arkansas, y'all think ding, 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 banjos and Bill Clinton. And yes, there is a lot of that here. I ain't going to lie. But I sure do miss Cajun culture, I will tell you that. And Texans, yeah, no, because the Gulf Coast Texans were cool because it's kind of Texicajun fun. I do miss the Hispanic culture in West Texas, but being raised by conservative Southern Baptist people and every single man who abused me was a Southern Baptist Texan. Like, I mean, serious. They're the biggest freaking perverts I know of. Like, it's like they are all secretly porn addicts. And you see all these articles on TV that say, oh, porn doesn't create abuse, or TV, internet say, that porn doesn't create abusive men. That's bullshit. That's the biggest effing lie I've ever heard. It's like they get so addicted to that stuff. They treat their own partners who love them the most like an object. And their addiction gets so out of hand that they will destroy the one who loves them the most. And I have been raped and abused and coerced and assaulted more times than I can count. And it's not okay. Again, that is not okay. So I don't really miss Texan men very much, to be honest. Most of them are short. Not everything is bigger in Texas, if you know what I mean. Except for that cute Spanish biker I dated in Galveston. Yes, I remember you, Danny. He was so yummy. Now, besides him, I will say that Arkansas people are like, yeah, really, really nice until you get to know them. I'll say that. Gossipers, backbiters, slanderers. I could go on. But the land here in the state is beautiful. It is called the natural state, right? And the US government and Bill Gates owns the majority of it. and they don't know what to do with it. I've mentioned this before. The US government is actually leasing out the national forest to pine plantations. This national forest is really vital and important that I live in. The Ouachitas is a very unique mountain range that runs east to west. It has very unique diversity and ecosystem that our government is destroying. The same government that under Biden is planning to take at least 30% of all land to be owned by the federal government to quote unquote protect it. They're not protecting what they already own. It's not going to work. Bill Gates is buying land he has no right to buy. He has no clue how to take care of it. If he cares so much about the land, why doesn't he give it back to Native Americans? I wonder. Just wondering, I mean, it kind of got stolen from them anyway, right? And everyone's kind of arguing about that and the whole Ben and Jerry's thing. And I'm thinking, like, okay, it is true that, like, we shouldn't all feel guilty for being born here. I was born here. I understand why my parents came here and ancestors, I should say. And a lot of people don't look at it this way. They like either demonize the Europeans that came here or they romanticize it. Our ancestors came here as refugees. They really did. Our ancestors came here because they were being terrorized the way we are now in this country. And that's the problem with refugees. They bring their problems with them. So many people get upset now. The far right really don't want refugees in this country, whether it's, from south of the border or from the Middle East or anywhere. They're like, no refugees, because they see the mess. They're like, we don't want them bringing that shit with them. Right? The thing is, we did the same thing. Okay. We brought our problems with us. Those same Babylonian, psychopathic, monarchical, colonial, narcissistic, evil elites from Britain followed us here and they took it over pretty damn quick during Pluto and Aquarius, no less, right? We thought we won our independence. All we did was sign our own doom because they were already infiltrated. The parasite had already infested the intestines of America before we were fully formed. Yay. So, I know some of you might be, what does this have to do with Leo and Aquarius? This has everything to do with Leo and Aquarius for me. Like the Leo North Node Aquarius Sun, like this is my world. This is the world that I'm immersed in, is trying to save this world and yet knowing that I can't, right? And so the reason why I'm kind of going off on this is to show my place in it. Now, if you feel very, very different with a Leo North Node and Aquarius Sun, you may actually have a very different view on life, but nonetheless, you might feel very passionate about your version of saving it, right? I really feel like we need to be able to have humanity free again, as in, especially with the Aquarian humanitarianism and the Leo desire to lead. And what's weird is they say Leo North nodes have to learn how to please themselves first, like how to be true to their own heart and how to go after their heart's desire and quit giving in to other people and quit caring about others' opinions. So, in a way, me going into something that might tick some of you off is vital for me to be true to my Leo North node. I have to quit caring about what other people think, which is extremely hard for me, not because I care about what other people think so much as I care how other people feel. Like I have been groomed from a very young age to be hypersensitive to the needs of others. That's part of my Capricorn Venus and my Virgo moon. I've been raised to sacrifice Capricorn Venus and to be very service oriented Virgo moon by two parents who were extremely emotionally needy and yet very neglectful at the same time and projected all of their insecurities onto me. My dad was he was born on January 22nd, same birthday as Cam White, who's an astrologer, which is weird because he is a Leo. My dad's a Cancer, so I guess it shifted somewhere in there. But it's that Cancer Leo cusp, and he's very, very moody like a Cancer, and yet very, very needy like a Leo, and very demanding, and yet it's always all been about him, like his dreams, his goals. what he wants to do, his hobbies. And my mom, Pisces, and she like has to be the victim. The She was homecoming queen. She was valedictorian. She has to be the most beautiful, the most tender-hearted, the fragile virgin, And so she has to be like the one everyone pities and thinks, "Oh, she's the sweetest, she's the best, she's perfect," right? The perfect wife, the perfect mom. Like she has to feel like she's perfect. And so like she projects onto me that I was always too sensitive, a drama queen, melodramatic, um, you know, moody, temperamental, and then I'm bossy and controlling, according to my dad. And it took me like 42 freaking years to realize that that's who they are, not me, right? And so I tried to fit in their box for so long because I believed them. And I am so hypersensitive to like feeling out how other people feel because I have an innate trauma response built into me. And some people say that this is something that you just do as an Aquarius South node, but I actually think that when you have certain natal aspects, even if you don't want to feel a certain way, it's built not into you, it's built into your circumstances. These are karmic circumstances that are forced upon you, whether you like it or not. And it's not fun. Okay. So I was built to be extremely sensitive to how other people feel, and also to be extremely negligent to my own needs my entire life. I had a long term husband that way. It was always all about him too. And everywhere I've ever worked, it seemed that way. And so I have walked on eggshells my whole life. And it's terrifying to me to be bold and to stand up for myself. When I have passionate enough for something or for someone else or a group, I will stand up for them. But to stand up for me and what I believe, and to not feel like I'm going to get trampled because I have been trampled by assholes every time I express how I feel about something. And so I've just learned to keep quiet and to hide. That is definitely like the whole Scorpio ascendant thing. Like I'm like, sometimes I'm just like throw my hands up in the air and be like, I'm done with this world. Everyone is so cold and cruel. I'm just done. Like, I just want to go hide and, just grow my vegetables, live out in the mountains, and just pretend the world does not exist. But I'm trying to convince myself that's not why I'm here. Like, we're not meant to be an island unto ourselves. We are meant to build connection and community. And that's hard for me because it's so much easier to stay alone. And we need to get together and actually like claim our rights back. This is something I feel like my Leo North Node and Aquarius Sun want us to do. It's like we need to take our land back, okay? All of this land that the elites own, that belongs to us. That's ours. They don't own that shit. That's how I feel. Like, we shouldn't have to pay taxes to live. Property taxes should have never existed. No one should be able to take your home away from you. Period. Every animal under the sun has the right to exist, whether or not they want to participate in a monetary system. And I know some of you out there are like, but Angel, what about, I have to pay my electric bill and my this and my that and my this. I promise you, there are countless of us who would be a healthier and not have chronic disease if we lived in the woods, in a hut, or a hand-built cabin, or in a hole in the ground, foraging, starving, before we could thrive in this environment right now today. We just would. We just would. If you cut the cords of this parasitic government from us, the amount of freedom we would feel would be unlike any other. It would truly set us free. And I believe that with my core. I do. So, this is my Leo North Node Aquarius Sun dilemma. I want to save everyone from the evil government. That's my mind's conspiracy, right? Some of you may not mind the government at all. You may want to cut cords from, like say, the conservative right or the extreme left or from the church or from who knows whatever it is. I have a feeling that some of you out there have something that nags at you that you feel like you have to save humanity from. And it's like, how do I like get real and realize, number one, I can't save the world. Number two, I can't save the world. Number three, what is my heart's desire? I'm supposed to go after my own heart's desire. Well, my own heart's desire is to live in a free world, and I can't do that unless I set everyone else free. So, damn, what do I do, right? This is completely messed up in my mind. I don't know what to do with this. This is my dilemma, and it irks me. I have no idea what to do with a Leo North Node, Aquarius Sun, Aquarius South Node. My instincts are to change the world. And they say that we're supposed to learn how to break from the pack mentality with the Leo North Node. I've never had a pack. I've never fit in a pack. What the hell is that? I don't even know what that's like. Like, what is a pack? I've never had a single person in my entire life loyal to me the way that I am to them. Maybe my daughter, so I take that back. My son is pretty loyal when he's in a good mood. Like, he's so mean to me, but he doesn't like anyone else messing with him. But it's like my kids. I mean, come on. Like, you know what I mean? In the world, right? And let's see. I'm trying to look and see if there's any notes that I have on here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another one. They say that with the Leo North Node, Aquarius South Nodes, that we're more lonely in groups than alone. I can so relate with that. Like, so relate to that. I feel so much more lonely in a group of people because, I mean, I remember drawing this drawn out artwork when I was in junior high, and I had written, "You don't have to be alone to be lonely," right? And the picture in the background was this Sunday school I was forced to go to by my parents because my parents kind of primed me to be molested by like submitting to their elitist new best friends, who were millionaires. And so my parents just sold out to them and did whatever they wanted. They put us in the private school of these people that their kids went to. They put us in the same church, took me out of everything I knew. And my dad is a petroleum engineer. So I was already forced to move around so much. People thought I was a military brat. And so I never got to have a home, a hometown. I never had a group, like a solid foundation of friends. And I had finally been in school long enough in Midland, Texas, that I had friends. I had a circle. And that was all taken from me, even though we still lived there, because my parents took me out of public school, took me out of the church I knew, and put me in this other church that was small. And the hypocrisy was astounding. I would sit here and watch these kids talk about like playing Russian roulette and one kid killing themselves and drag racing and having sex on their dates and all of this stuff. And then when the youth pastor comes in, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have sex until after we're married." And we do this. They pretend to be all these good, rich kids. But the moment like they had free time to talk, it's like they wanted to break every single rule possible. And I just roll my eyes because their hypocrisy was actually extremely disgusting to me. They thought they looked really cool, but I thought they looked very ugly. And it made me sick, to be honest. And I felt so alone there. And it just, my parents taking my support system from me primed me to be molested by someone because they were too busy playing canasta with their rich best friends till 3 a.m. on a school night. And I was molested for so long. And then when they finally find out about it, it's like, shut up. You're not allowed to tell anybody because we still want to have fun. And the nerve of them to sit there and still, I mean, I remember like maybe a year later, the very person who had molested me was allowed in our home. They all had a lavish party. And that person went home, but they still played canasta on a school night. And my dad yelling and beating on my door saying like, um, "You're a lazy butt. Get your ass out here and wash the dishes." And I'm like, it's almost 11 o'clock. Like, I thought I would wash them tomorrow because I have to go to school in the morning. And granted, at this time, both my parents had quit their full-time jobs because they're just like Esther Hicks. And her husband, who think they're so positive, but they're like shysters to me, to be honest. Um, they were in Amway, at one time. So my parents were in Amway at this time and they wanted to quit their full time jobs. They wanted to party all the freaking time. They were selfish. They didn't want to work. Okay. They wanted to go to 2 Amway meetings a week and think they were going to get rich. And obviously that didn't work out. Ha ha ha. But anyway, I had to get up and go do dishes and watch like their friends, like eyes, like kind of like big and kind of like trying not to laugh at me while I had to sit there and wash dishes in front of them and watch them play, till I don't know, 1 in the morning or so before I was done with all of the dishes from their party. And so like this inability to feel loved, this inability to have a group, to have any support in my life. Every time I tried to break free, I was broken again. Like when I tried to break free from an abusive husband or something, um, something would go wrong. Like I would, my son got really, really sick and had to be pulled back out of school. And so I had to homeschool again. So I couldn't go back to college or I couldn't have a job. And, always something. And it's like I'm trying to break free again. And it's like my body's fallen apart. So I'm not really capable of doing a lot of physical work at this time because the most recent relationship I had, he literally did destroy my body. And so loneliness is a terrifying thing that I go through, but having people in my life doesn't solve it. It really doesn't. You know what always has truly been animals. It really has. Like I love animals. I love rescuing animals. If I wish so bad that I had like the the physical strength to make enough money so that I could rescue more. Like I'm really good with neonatal kittens. I've always wanted to be like a wildlife rehabilitator, things along those lines. Um, I will say that they say we're put in situations to learn to stand on our own. And I feel like it's kind of opposite for me. Like I've been put in situations where that's all I've ever wanted is to stand on my own, but I keep getting broken again and again and again. And I think a lot of that does have to do with my Scorpio ascendant with Pluto in the 12th house, because when you have Pluto in the 12th house, that is the land of death and imprisonment, okay? This is like where you are reborn over and over and over again, which means you die over and over and over again. So it's really, really hard life. But I will say that despite all of this pain and agony, I still have like this desire to learn what it's like to want for myself. I mean, as I talk to you right now, I am in so much pain. My whole body hurts. Talking about some of the things that I talked about is hard. So it's like my trauma response is going to like send off alarm bells like don't say anything. Don't say anything that's going to piss someone off, Angel. Don't speak out for yourself. Hide. And so my body is hurting doing this, but I want so bad to just be myself, to just be true to me. And sometimes I'm like, what is that? All I want is to like save the whole world. Is that too much to ask? Obviously it is. So how do I just want for me? I know I want to save animals. Again, is about saving. I know I love, metaphysics. I absolutely love metaphysics. I love hiking. I love digging crystals. I love gardening, but my body's been too broken to garden much this year, which is really sad. I watch a lot of my vegetables and herbs in the garden just falling apart because I'm in too much pain to move very much. Let's see. I don't know. I love astrology. I don't think I'll ever call myself an astrologer because I'm just kind of like a lay astrologer. I do love my psychic work, my metaphysics work, meditation, paranormal, obviously. I love that. I love the spiritual and the supernatural and the paranormal aspects of everything in our life. Like, I believe in Bigfoot. I've seen one. I've seen like Dogman. I've seen all kinds of like cryptids and things, which is amazing. And like I've said in my other videos, I had witnesses. So it wasn't like it was really cool that most of the weird things I've seen I had witnesses with. So it wasn't like I was crazy. um so, I have a lot of passion, but actually getting to pursue that, I have spent my whole life just barely able to survive. And at this point right now, I'm kind of like, how do I take care of my kids? My kids are growing up, yet not. It's a problem with their generation. I mean, have a kid who turns 18 with long COVID and who had to be pulled out of school because of COVID. And they're not ready to grow up. They're so sheltered and so controlled by the elites at this time that a lot of them are losing hope. But yet it's really cool because I'm seeing a resurgence in their generation of the old ways. So many more of them are like upcycling way better than we ever could before, like eco punks, and they're getting most stuff thrifted. They're learning how to be environmentally friendly by being extremely like crafty. They're learning to sew again. They're learning how to do all of the basic stuff again. Like how to let's put it this way. I love it because they're going the route that us Aquarians knew should happen anyway, which is like they don't want to be consumerists. And they don't want to, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them, including my daughter, like they're actually like anti-consumerism, and they want to like recycle, reuse as much as possible, get stuff from thrift stores or something, and make new things with it. And they're so, what is that word? Like, their ingenuity is astounding, and they don't have the goals to like work. You see all these articles, and boomers and everyone are so mad, like, why is Gen Z not working enough, and why do they refuse to work? And it's like, because of what I've said, it was never their job to do this for you, just because you boomers sold out. And it's like, here's the thing, they were literally like, they know their worth. I'm thankful for them. And maybe many people in my generation are helping them learn their worth, because we were taught we were worth nothing unless we sold out. And I think so many of us that were young in the 90s kind of rebelled against that. You look at our music from the 90s, it's full of so much angst. It's not funny. And so when the music started coming out in the early 2000s, it was like all whiny or really generic. And we're like, oh, what is this soft, sad music, right? But it's kind of come full circle because of the non-mainstream musicians out there that are very, very in depth. And I think our angst is from so much rejection. We did not want to fit in, and we did not want to sell out. We wanted to just be. And so many of us were suicidal and depressed when we were young because we didn't want to go to college to work in a cubicle, okay? Neither do our kids. That has never been the human condition, ever, ever, okay? It's ridiculous. It's like, this is really, really recent that governments have had this much control over humanity to try to force all of us to sell out. There's always been massive amounts of people in the entire world that were relatively free, except for that once a year they come around collecting taxes. And that, yes, there were other parts of the world with civilizations where they were extremely oppressed and everything they did was micromanaged by the government, but those civilizations always fell. It's only a matter of time before this one does too. And I do think Pluto and Aquarius is going to be a banger of a good time for these governments. I will say that's probably about all I'm going to say for this video. I'll try to wrap things up, but I do kind of want to leave it on a note of, you don't have to agree with everything I said, and you don't have to feel everything I felt. But I will ask you, if you have a Leo North Node and an Aquarius Sun, what has been your burden? Like, what has made you feel lonely? What has been your challenges? What has made you tick? What has made you angry? Like, what do you want to save? Have you been spending your whole life trying to be a savior instead of trying to save yourself. That's something that's really hard for us to accept. And especially if you have Scorpio in your chart anywhere, Scorpios are infamous for that too. So, where are you learning to value yourself more? And also, I have seen quite a bit of Aquariuses who are followers. Like they kind of do kind of like they're I've wishy-washy, which I never would have thought Aquariuses were like that. I don't know why some are like that. Even some with a Leo North node. Like the last guy who abused me is a real wishy-washy Aquarius. I mean, he had Pisces in his Mercury and Mars, and he has an Aries moon. And I've just noticed from other men, if they have both Pisces and Aries in their chart, they usually become like kind of like weird dark. Like because the Pisces is the perpetual victim who justifies um their actions of I can't help it, not my fault. And Aries always dives in head first of what they want with no impulse control. So every guy I've ever been with that had Aries and Pisces in their chart was extremely sexually abusive, and they justified it like they can't help it. They have to think with their pee-pee, and that's that. Um, so I don't know, but besides like the behind closed doors, in outdoors, like this Aquarius definitely lied a lot, was very wishy-washy, always wanted everyone to think the best of them, and really kind of crafted a mask, but was constantly walking around in anxiety because it knew the mask was going to fall at some point. Like he knew eventually this mask is going to fall, and it was constantly afraid people were going to see the truth. And I don't know why anyone would want to walk around in that chronic state of chaos, but he did. And I have seen other male Aquariuses, and they seem kind of the same energy, even though I didn't get to know them that well. And I don't know if that's just the male Aquarius from my generation or what. I've actually never met another female. Well, I met some female Aquariuses one time, which is really weird. No, I'm still going on. I was going to end things. It was like the brief moment I worked in a school cafeteria. And I was going to go back to college and work at a school cafeteria when my son got sick. So I had to pull out and I had to quit the job. But and my ex-husband was like, "Oh, you should keep that job." And I'm like, "It doesn't pay enough. I need to go back to college." Plus, the loud sounds in that cafeteria really triggered my trauma, and I would start shaking. Like I can't handle like really chaotic environments. But like I swear to God, like 3 other women there were Aquariuses and like left-handed, and I was like, "Huh, is this our fate? Like, is this what Aquarius women get to do with their life? Especially if we're left-handed, we just get to be lunch ladies." So I don't know. I don't know. I liked working there because there were little Hispanic girls and things, and it was a highly minority based school in Northern Alphen, and it was like mostly people from like they were either Latina or Pakistani or Indian and stuff. And one of the girls, like, well, a few of them, but one in particular, I remember it's like she would come through and go, "You're so pretty." And I just remember that, when kids are so innocent that they just like flat out their mouth opens and they just tell you they love you. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to miss you." Anyway, that's all I have for you guys for now. But if you guys, agree with any of this, great. If you guys are mad about any of it, oh well. I'm highly filtering my comments at this time because I have no desire to tolerate bullshit from people. But if you want to comment, your own personal experiences, that would be cool. I think people kind of need to feel like other people can relate to them. And you can sub if you liked any of this, or, don't like it if you liked it. The drill. I love you and I bless you. Until next time.